Let's go on a doer and action search.
Let's take the very first sentence of Vladimir Putin's joke. Это вот, знаете, у бывшего офицера, значит, сын приходит к нему, и он сына спрашивает. So let's find the subject and the verb in this sentence. Well, actually, it's a compound sentence. So we are going to find more than one subject and more than one verb here. So let's take a look at the very end of the sentence. И он сына спрашивает. So we will divide this part from the rest of the sentence. Remember, to find the subject, we need to find a noun or a pronoun in its basic form. Here we have the pronoun he, on, and the noun son, сына. So which of them is in its basic form? Son, the basic form of son in Russian is сын. So сына is definitely not the basic form. So сына is not the subject of the sentence. Он is the subject. So он is the basic form of he in Russian. And correspondingly, we see the verb спрашивает. The ending «ет» corresponds to он. Он спрашивает. He asks. The son, in this case, will be the object of asking, and it's in its special object form, сына. Okay, very good. So we are done with this part. Now let's look at the beginning of the sentence, which is more interesting. We have again the noun сын, now in its basic form. Сын приходит. The verb приходит. So now we know that сын is in its basic form, so it's the subject, and we found the verb corresponding verb to the noun сын. Приходит. It again is the on ending, but of the second conjugation group. This was first conjugation, this is second conjugation. Сын приходит. The son comes. That's one subject-verb pair in the first part of the sentence. However, it's a very interesting sentence. Why? Because it consists of two sentences, actually, blended in together. У бывшего офицера есть сын. That's one sentence, and сын приходит к нему. Sometimes when we speak, Russian speakers, we kind of combine the sentences. So we can start one sentence and then gradually move to a very different sentence. And now these sentences are kind of merged together. So Vladimir Putin started his utterance by saying у бывшего офицера. So he wanted to say a former army officer has a son, which is a special construction in Russian. It's the U construction. Watch a separate video on it. So he started у бывшего офицера, and he skipped this есть part, there is or exists. He gradually moved to the second sentence. The son comes to him. And that is why we have such an interesting combination here. It happens very often when we talk you English speakers do that as well. You may start one sentence, then you stop, then you kind of rephrase everything. So we do the same. Very good, we found two subjects and two verbs here. And we know now that it's a merged sentence here. Moving on to the next topic.
Practice finding prepositions and ideas behind them.
Let's find some prepositions in this sentence and talk about the corresponding cases. You remember that a preposition always precedes a noun or a pronoun, and it governs the case that this noun or a pronoun has in the sentence. So, the first preposition we are going to look at is preposition k. It is used with verbs of motion, for example, to go, to come. There are many verbs of motion in Russian, and it's a separate topic. So, this preposition k is used with verbs of motion when we talk about approaching something or someone. So coming towards this person or this inanimate object. And normally it translates into English as to. So the preposition к here comes after the verb comes. Приходит. Приходит к нему. And the pronoun он, he, on, in this case is in the dative case because the preposition k comes with the dative case. So the idea behind the preposition k is coming towards something or someone or approaching something or someone. The next preposition is the preposition na here. So the preposition na has many ideas behind it. In this case, it translates as for, and let's see why. It can also be translated as on, like location on the surface of something. But in this case, it translates as for, because it follows the verb to change or to exchange. Менять, поменять. So менять will be imperfective, поменять perfective. In this sentence, we use perfective. So I exchanged it for a watch. I exchanged the dagger for the watch. And when we exchange something for something, it's like swapping. So when you swap, in English you use the preposition for, exchange something for something. In Russian, it will be the preposition на. You can watch my video on the prepositions для, за, and на, which all translate as for. And if you already watched it, maybe you know that the preposition за is also used when we talk about exchange. But what is the difference here? We use the preposition за when we use the verb, for example, to give something for something or in exchange for something. For example, if the son used the verb давать, дать, to give, he would use the preposition за. So he would say я дал ему кортик за часы. Here, he uses the verb менять, поменять. And in this case, it will be the preposition на. So you see, not only the preposition influences the case of the noun, but the verb influences the preposition. In Russian, it's called управление глагола. This term means what preposition is used after the verb. Certain verbs are used with certain prepositions. It's like in your language as well. In each language, certain verbs are used with certain prepositions. So that was the preposition на in the meaning, the idea of exchange with the accusative case. The next preposition is the preposition у. My favorite construction, у меня. So here it's the genitive case and the idea is actually location. So it's a very interesting idea in the Russian language. A person can be a location. So у меня means that I am in the center of my personal universe and around me different things and people are located. So it's like around me or near me. У меня, and if we look at the rest of the sentence, у меня кортик был. So the subject here is кортик, the dagger. The verb is был, which was the past tense of to be in Russian. The dagger was or existed in my universe, in my own world. In this sentence, again, у plus the noun мальчишка in the genitive case implies his own space, his own universe, the boy's universe. And what happened? What happened in this boy's universe? I exchanged the dagger for the watch. So, to understand this, you need to imagine the situation. One boy comes to another boy, so he comes to the place where he lives or the yard where he plays, for example. So, he comes to the location that is around this boy, to his personal universe. And then in this personal universe, he exchanges something for something. So it's a very interesting idea of a person being a location in Russian. This is the idea behind the preposition u, and it's a part of the genitive case. Another preposition that is a part of the genitive case group is preposition s, in the meaning from. So when it's the idea of genesis or coming from some place, it's also genitive case. S двора. The noun двор is masculine, so we use the ending a for genitive. And of course, here we have an adjective dividing the preposition and the noun. С соседнего двора. The adjective is also in the genitive case. So these were some of the prepositions in the sentence. Moving on.
Practice or learn the verb conjugation.
Let's work with some verbs now. Today I want to conjugate two verbs. Видеть and ругаться. So, in this sentence, of course, we have these verbs in some form. For example, видел is the past tense, ругайся is the imperative form, like don't be mad at me. Let's conjugate them in the present tense. So, the infinitive of see will be видеть, видеть. And let's conjugate it. Я вижу, ты видишь, вы видите, он видит, она видит, мы видим, они видят. You have noticed that in the ya form, the d sound changes to zh. So sometimes in some Russian verbs, such a change occurs. Other verbs of this type, this group, are сидеть, to sit, and выглядеть, for example, to look, to have an appearance. That was the verb to see, видеть, and a more interesting verb, ругаться. Ругаться. Why is it interesting? Because it can translate into English two ways. To be mad, to be angry at someone, and to swear, to say swear words. It will also be ругаться. So, what is the idea behind this verb? When in English you say, he is mad at me, or he got mad at me, or don't be mad at me, that actually can mean that he might feel something, he might feel angry, but he might not be saying anything. In Russian, it's actually two different verbs. If I'm just mad at someone and I hold it inside and I'm just walking around like angry face and I'm just feeling that, but I don't say anything to this person. That's one thing, and that will be the verb злиться. Я злюсь. So I have these feelings, these angry feelings. But when I am mad to the degree when I start to say something, so I can't hold it inside anymore. I need to say something to this person. And then I start saying these things, and that means я ругаюсь. So that will be the я form for the present tense. Я ругаюсь. As you can see, it's a reflexive verb. So, я ругаюсь, ты ругаешься, вы ругаетесь, он ругается, она ругается, мы ругаемся, они ругаются. And it's also interesting that in plural persons like мы and они, that can mean both people are saying some things to each other, like they are fighting. So, мы ругаемся. For example, if I say муж и я часто ругаемся, that means we are fighting a lot. So we are we don't get along. Or они ругаются. They are fighting. Interesting verb. It doesn't mean that you always have to say swear words when вы ругаетесь, but you can just say something that shows that you are angry or disappointed or whatever. Very good. I hope you practiced pronouncing the forms of these verbs. Moving on.
Let's spot some collocations and set phrases.
So let's learn some useful expressions from this excerpt. На этот счет. On that subject. You can use it when you say, for example, I have a story or a joke on that subject. У меня есть история или анекдот на этот счет. Счет here literally means account. The word счет, we use it when we count something. Мы считаем. So there is also a verb считать, to count. So счет is also your bill in a restaurant, for example. But in this expression, it translates, the whole expression translates as on that subject or on that topic. Next one, все-таки. Все-таки. And yet, or still, or nonetheless. So with this expression, with this word, you kind of reverse what you said before. For example, this common phrase said by Galileo. И все-таки она вертится. And still it rotates. It meaning the earth. So he said it after he testified that the earth was flat, but then he came outside and he said, and yet it rotates. И все-таки она вертится. Some people still think it's flat, but that's another topic. Молодец. The next word is молодец. We use it when we praise someone, when we want to let the person know they did a good job. So well done. But what's interesting is that in Russian it's a noun. And literally it means fine fellow. But of course we use it when talking with men and women equally. So we can say ты молодец to a man and a woman equally. Or он молодец, она молодец. It will be the same word. So it doesn't really have gender in Russian. Meaning that you are the person that did a good job. Ты молодец. And the last one, шутка с бородой or анекдот с бородой. So in Russian, there are two words for joke, equally interchangeable, шутка and анекдот. So, literally, a joke with a beard. What does it mean? It means that it's a very old joke. And since it's very old, it has lived for a long time, it grew a beard. Kind of like a corny joke in English, but I think a corny joke in English means that it's not an interesting joke anymore. Everyone knows it and no one laughs at it anymore. But in Russian, шутка с бородой can be old but still interesting. So here we have some differences between Russian and English. Very good. Next topic.
Let's find words that have the same root.
Let's find the roots of some words used in this excerpt. And we'll start with the word развитие, which translates as development or improvement. Actually, that's one of my favorite words in Russian in terms of its root, because its root is very interesting. It actually comes from the verb видеть, or its reflexive counterpart, видеться. So what does it mean? Imagine a spiral, and a spiral goes like this. So it kind of whirls, right? That is the meaning of this verb, actually. So the spiral вьется, it whirls by itself. It's reflexive. But if you take, for example, if you want to make a rope and you take the fiber of the rope and you start to видеть this rope. So you whirl the fiber for it becomes a rope. How is it connected with development or improvement? Well, each whirl of a spiral is kind of a next step, next stage of the development or of the improvement. So if you as a person improve, you go to the next whirl of a spiral, and it's endless. And we also have the verb развиваться, which is the closest word here to развитие, and it has the same root. It also has a prefix, the prefix раз. So раз means like going from center to the sides, whereas the prefix s is the opposite, from the sides to the center. So imagine the spiral, it goes like this, right? So each circle, it kind of goes from the center to the sides, and then again, it goes further. So that is why it's развитие. Very interesting, I think. The next word is событие, event or happening. The Russian word событие is wider in meaning than the English word event. Because in English, an event is something that is prepared. For example, an official event, a celebration, something that is being organized. But in Russian, a событие is something that just happened, or something that is happening. It may be organized, it may be not organized, just something that happened. And if you look at the root of this word, you will understand why. The root is the verb быть, to be. So it's something that just exists. Something that есть in life. Событие. That is why very often our news programs are called события. So событие in its plural form. And again, something that happens. A событие. Related to быть. And the next word here is современный, which translates as modern or contemporary. And it relates to the noun время. So, something that comes in parallel with this particular time. The English word contemporary actually contains the same root and the same prefix. And those of you who speak one of the Latin languages understand why. Because temp is the Latin root for time, and con is the prefix that means with. In Russian, the prefix with is s, or here it's so, because with this vowel, we break the cluster of consonants, s, v, and r. 3 consonants in a row. It's very difficult to pronounce, so we add a vowel. Современный, modern or contemporary.
Learn to agree adjectives with nouns.
So in Vladimir Putin's sentence, the adjective современная is in the feminine gender because it refers to the noun шутка, a joke. Шутка is feminine, so современная. Let's take a look at this adjective changed by gender. Info card, please. Современный дизайн, masculine. Современная литература, feminine. Современное искусство, neutral. And современные писатели, plural. Let's find more adjectives in this sentence. Another one is всякие. Всякие шутки. That's a very interesting adjective because it doesn't have a direct equivalent in English. It translates as all sorts of jokes or all kinds of jokes. Every kind. So, Vladimir Putin says, I sometimes tell you all sorts of jokes on this subject, на этот счет. So, let's see where we use this adjective. Всякий случай. Well, actually we say на всякий случай, which means just in case or just to be on the safe side. And literally it means on every case or on every occasion. So, for example, I'm going to the dacha and I will bring an umbrella with me на всякий случай, in case there is rain, for example. So I don't know exactly whether it will rain or not, but just to be on the safe side, I will take an umbrella. На всякий случай. Всякая всячина. A very interesting expression because the noun всячина comes from the adjective всякий, or всякая in this case, it's the feminine version. And the translation of it is all sorts of various things. For example, в магазине продается всякая всячина. In this store, all sorts of things are sold. Cosmetics, stationery, hair binders, and all sorts of small useful things are sold in this store. Всякая всячина. Or всякое разное. Всякое разное, which is the neutral version of this adjective, means the same thing. All kinds of various things. And the same meaning всякие штуки. Штука in Russian is literally a thing. We use this word when we don't know what to call this thing. It's like in English, when you say, oh, this thing, I don't know what it's called. In Russian, we say, такая штука, не знаю, как называется. So if you don't know what to call this object, this thing in Russian, you can describe it by saying, это такая штука, and then the description of this thing. And another adjective here is очередную. This is a feminine version of this adjective in its accusative case. Why accusative? Because here again it refers to the noun joke, шутка, and it's in its object position in the sentence. To tell a joke, to tell what? It's the object of the verb. So, рассказать очередную шутку. You will change both the adjective and the noun in the accusative case. Let's look at this adjective in its basic forms and how it changes by gender. Очередной платеж. And it means another payment. Another meaning one from a series of payments. Another one in a series. Очередная серия. Feminine version. Again, another episode from a series of episodes. Очередное собрание. Another meeting, another gathering. Очередные игры. Another games or another set of games. Very good. Next one.
Practice posing questions to the sentences.
Let's ask a few questions to a few sentences from this excerpt. So the first sentence is: А знаешь, вот завтра придут к нам бандиты и грабители. So, we can ask two questions here. The first question is the question for the subject. Remember, the subject is the doer of the verb. So, who will come? The verb is to come. So, who will come to us? Кто придет к нам? We use the subject form of who, кто, because we are asking about the subject. And the answer, the short answer will be бандиты и грабители, because this is who will come. The second question that we can ask is: to whom will they come? К кому? Кому придут бандиты и грабители? So that's the recipient form of who in Russian. Кому, it's actually the question word кто in the dative case in its recipient form. And it's accompanied by the preposition к, because you already know the preposition к is used to show that someone is approaching someone. To whom? К кому? When you pronounce it, just put the two K's together. Кому? Кому придут бандиты и грабители? The answer will be к нам. К нам. The dative case or the recipient form of мы. To us. К нам. Next sentence is: мы же не хотим такого развития событий. We don't want such an outcome, such a scenario, or literally the development of events. Развитие событий. So here we can ask a question about this part of the sentence that we don't want. We can ask: чего мы не хотим? So what do we not want? And the what part here will be in the genitive case. Чего, not что. Why? Because here we have the verb to want, хотим, in the negative, with the negative particle не. And normally, when we use this verb, to want, or another verb, to wish, желать, and especially when we use them with the negative particle не, we will use the genitive case. So the thing that we want will be in the genitive case. That is why here the question word will be чего, not что. And another question, more specific: какого развития событий мы не хотим? Same thing. The question, the essence of the question is in its genitive case. Какого развития? It's all genitive case. Событий is also genitive because it follows the noun развитие, development of events. The of part is also genitive. And let's see what answers can we give to these questions, the answers that are based on the initial sentence. So if I ask you чего мы не хотим, or if Vladimir Putin asks you to make sure we really don't want that, all of us, we don't want that, he will ask you чего мы не хотим? And you will say такого развития событий. If he asks you Какого развития событий мы не хотим? You can say такого. The short answer will be такого. Or you can just elaborate more on what kind of scenario it is. To actually describe what kind of scenario do we not want to happen. And the third question, the third sentence, мы будем уделять нужное внимание развитию армии и флота. So, here we can ask, what will we give necessary attention to? Or in Russian, to what? And we actually don't use the preposition here. It's just the dative case of the question word что. Чему мы будем уделять внимание? So again, in English, you say pay attention to something. You use this preposition to. In Russian, we say уделять внимание развитию, for example. So, the noun развитие is not preceded by a preposition. It's just the dative case shows, the ending of the dative case shows that it's the recipient of attention. That is why in the question we also don't use preposition. We just say чему. Чему мы будем уделять внимание. And pay attention to the form. Чему, кому. Both in dative and they sound similar. So let's give an answer to this question. Чему мы будем уделять внимание? Развитию армии и флота. Let's do it again. I'm saying the question. You are saying the short answer based on the sentence. Кто придет к нам? Бандиты и грабители. Кому придут бандиты и грабители? К нам. Чего мы не хотим? Такого развития событий. Какого развития событий мы не хотим? Такого. Чему мы будем уделять внимание? Развитию армии и флота. I hope you got the answers correctly. Moving on.
Learn colloquial expressions and the meaning of confusing words.
So let's see what colloquial expressions are used in this excerpt. First of all, these are, of course, vocal fillers. Words that fill in the pause or just help you to start your sentence. And one of such words is вот. I have a whole video on вот. It has many meanings, so watch it to know more about this word. In these sentences, вот is used as a vocal filler. For example, я вот иногда рассказываю вам всякие шутки. So, actually this word is not needed in this sentence because it doesn't give you any information. It doesn't mean here, right here, so it doesn't have its direct meaning. It's not used in its direct meaning. It's just used to let the speaker think about what he's going to say next. Same thing in the second sentence. Это вот, so he doesn't start his sentence from information. So Vladimir Putin doesn't start telling a joke from the very first sentence of the joke. He starts his utterance with это вот знаете, to kind of lead you into the story. So to let you know, he's going to tell a story now. He's preparing you for that. Это вот знаете, so знаете, you know. You already know that we use this word, знаешь, знаете, and you use it too. In English, you very often say, well, you know, right? So these words help you to prepare the listener for the story. And they make your speech more natural. It's not like in the book or on TV, right? It's a normal, colloquial speech. The next phrase or the next way of saying things is мы с вами. So this is the very interesting phrase in Russian. When we want to say, for example, my friend and I, or he and I, or me and him, I will say мы с ним. So it's kind of we with him. Sounds kind of like there are 3 people here, not 2. But this is just how we say it. He and I will be мы с ним. When we say мы с ним, we automatically think of more than one person. So the first word that we say is мы. It's more than one person. It's not just я. It's not just I. And then we specify who the other person is. Or it can be more than one person there too. Like in our example. Vladimir Putin says, мы с вами. So he implies you and I. You, the people in the room, in the conference hall. So all of you and I. Мы с вами. So he addresses the audience. Мы же с вами не хотим такого развития событий. And же, here the emphatic particle же underlines that you know that we don't want this, and I know that we don't want this. We all know that. And I want to underline that. And the third phrase is так что. Так что is used to kind of draw the line after you told a story and say, so what conclusion can we make from this story? So we will pay due attention to the development of army and navy. So this word, так что, is normally used at the end of the story of your monologue to underline, to make a conclusion. Again, I have another video on it, the difference between поэтому and так что. So watch it to learn more about this word.
Listen to my thoughts on the issue in slow Russian.
Я очень хочу жить в мире, где кортик дома будет не нужен, как и любое другое оружие. Я хочу жить в мире, где между странами нет границ и нет необходимости в армии и флоте. Но если выбирать между безопасностью и возможностью приобретать всякие разные товары, то я выбираю безопасность. Я считаю, что время, когда оружие можно будет встретить только в музее, наступит еще не скоро. В мире еще много угроз, и страны продолжают конкурировать друг с другом за ресурсы. Поэтому кортик все-таки будет лучше, чем часы, пусть даже и хорошие.